Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for this collection update, this time for winter 2024. If you've been on my channel before and seen these videos, you guys already know how it works. I'll go through the horror DVDs first of all, and as always, that's majority of what we'll be going through today. And then I'll move to the horror collectibles, have a couple of things there, and then I'll wrap up this video with the albums. Like usual, we'll try and do it all in one take. We'll see how we go. I've got two dogs in the house today, and both of them are loud as fuck, so hopefully they stay quiet. And as usual, I'll put chapters in the time bar below, so if you want to skip over stuff, go for it. So, starting with the horror DVDs. Now, first of all, the video that I posted before this one was my Umbrella Entertainment unboxing video, where I got a lot of horror movies, and half of the horror movies that we're going through today are from that unboxing video. So if you watch that, a lot of the movies there are going to look pretty familiar, but I did watch a bunch of them, so I'll have different opinions. But as I said, I'll put chapters in the time bar below, so if you want to skip over those movies that I picked up in the last video and you watch that and you don't feel like going over that again, you can skip over that. But we'll start with the ones that I didn't get from Umbrella. So the first one here is Todd Browning's Freaks. I have a weird obsession with this movie. I just think it's fucking great. For a long time, it was easily one that you could say is an underrated horror movie from the 30s. But, you know, it's just become a cult classic. It is a classic. Everyone knows this movie, and yeah, it's just a fucking awesome movie. And it's one that's known for burying pretty much Todd Browning's career. He was pretty much shunned after making this movie, but I think it's great. If you haven't seen Freaks, check it out. I think it's awesome. I picked up Luther the Geek from Troma. I was just sort of on a little bit of a Troma run, and I'm like, what's from Troma that I haven't seen before that I've heard is alright? And I saw Luther the Geek, and I was like, you know what? It's a reasonable price. I'll grab this one. Not intentional having it follow up Freaks, but this one was okay. I think I was sort of expecting something a little bit different, but I still thought it was alright. It was fairly decent. You know, if you know Troma, you sort of know what to expect. I mean, this one's going to be a weird one, considering, you know, being a horror collector and a horror fan. I just never owned Frankenstein in my collection. I didn't have a copy of the classic Universal film starring Boris Karloff as the monster. Yeah, I just needed it for my collection, so finally got my hands on a copy. It's a movie that everyone's familiar with and knows. I actually went and watched a production stage show of Frankenstein not too long ago, and obviously it's different to the movie. It's based on the book, so it's quite different, but I thought it was pretty good. Moving on to Cursed, the werewolf movie. This one gets a lot of hate, but, you know, I think there's a likable quality about this movie. Like, if you've seen this one before, you'll probably know what I mean. You know, it's not the greatest film ever. It's got that mid-2000s sort of cringeness about it, but you can kind of have fun with it if you go in with the right mindset or whatever. I picked up The Nun 2. I picked this one up solely just to now officially own every Conjuring Universe film. So this was the only one that was missing. Picked it up. I didn't love this one when it came out last year. I thought it was okay. I gave it a rewatch, and yeah, it was just about the same. I probably liked it a little less, but like I said, now I own all the Conjuring Universe movies, so that helps. I think it would be fun to soon rank all the Conjuring Universe movies from my least favourite to favourite. I think that would be a fun ranking video to do. Next up, I picked up Jack in the Box. The reason why I picked up Jack in the Box, if you remembered my last collection update video, for my birthday, someone picked up the third Jack in the Box movie and didn't know it was the third one. So I didn't have the first two movies to get around to it. I really was thinking, like, does it really hurt to not watch, you know, the first two, because, like, I don't know, it doesn't really look like much of a movie with substance, but I held off, picked up this one. I put it on really late one night, and I fell asleep about halfway through. So I'll get around back to watching it. It was a it was about what I expected. It wasn't going great so far, but I don't know, might have a better second half. And then just to round out the trilogy, I also picked up the second one, Jack in the Box Awakening. Obviously still wrapped, so I haven't watched it. Another one still wrapped. I picked this one up just the other day, actually. Now that we're coming to the end of the year, I'm trying to catch up on my 2024 watches that I missed in cinemas, and one of them was Love Lies Bleeding, which isn't a straight up horror from what I know. It's more of a revenge thriller, but I've heard it's pretty decent. So Love Lies Bleeding, I'll get around to that one. It does actually look pretty interesting. It has a good cast. Kristen Stewart, Dave Franco, Ed Harris. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to get around to that one. If you've seen this one or know anything about it, without spoiling, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, before we move on to the Umbrella stuff, I've got two here which aren't exactly horror, but I'm excited to talk about them because I've not spoken so far on my channel about how big of a fan I am of Scooby-Doo. Like, a massive fucking fan. Like, my two of my top 10 favorite movies of all time are the live action early 2000s movies. I was born in 2001. I'm a kid of the 2000s. I watch those movies religiously. I'm not saying that they're the top 10 best movies I've ever seen, but they're two of my top 10 favorites. So rewatchable. But speaking of which, my favorite animated ones are the four that they made in the 90s, and this is one of them, with The Witch's Ghost. If you don't know the four from the 90s, there was Zombie Island, which I think everyone that's familiar with the animated Scooby-Doo movies knows how good Zombie Island is. This was the second one, Witch's Ghost. Alien Invaders was the third one, and then Cyber Chase was the fourth. That stretch of four movies are so fucking good, and I've got the other three. This was the only one that I didn't have. I've seen it fucking more times than I can count. I just never owned it in my collection, so I grabbed it for my little Scooby-Doo area that I have. But when I picked up that one, I was looking back through some of the Scooby-Doo shows that I have, and some of the other Scooby-Doo movies that I own, and to be honest, I'm not very caught up and familiar with new Scooby-Doo. Some of the shows I am, just because Scooby-Doo is one of those franchises that just stick true through all of pop culture. But some of the newer movies, I'm not too familiar with, so I had to pick up Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost, which is one of the newer movies, and I thought it was okay. It doesn't have the genuine goodness of those 90 ones that I was referencing before, but I thought it was okay. It's got Bobby Flay, the celebrity chef, in it. The Red Ghost, I thought, had a pretty cool design. I like when the monsters and ghosts and ghouls and whatever have decent designs. So I think I'm going to try and get my Scooby-Doo collection going again, because like I said, I watched the live action Scooby-Doos religiously growing up. Like I said, still in my top 10 favorite movies of all time, just based off fun and my personal enjoyment and nostalgia and whatever. I've got all of the 90s Scooby-Doos. I've got Loch Ness Monster, Monster of Mexico. I've got a fair collection of the TV series as well. I should do a video where I show off my Scooby-Doo collection, but as I said, I was a bit blind on some of the newer movies. That's why I picked up Gourmet Ghost, and like I said, I think I'll try and get that Scooby-Doo collection pulsing again. Alright, now to the Umbrella Entertainment DVDs that I picked up. Like I said, if you watched my latest video, which was the unboxing, and you don't feel like going through these movies again, I'll put chapters in the time bar so you can skip over it, but over half of them I've watched since that unboxing, so I will have different opinions on them. So starting off with Death Warmed Up, which I did get around to watching. To be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Then again, I did watch it very late as well, so even though I was trying to stay focused into it, I think I was sort of drifting in and out of sleep, but I wasn't a massive fan of what I remember from it. This one called After Midnight. I thought this one was alright. It does have horror elements, but it took a lot more of a dramatic approach than what I sort of expected. I actually didn't know this, but the person that directed this movie also directed The Battery, or The Battery, however you want to say it. And it's got, and the guy that directs it and also stars in it, I guess he's a good friend of Joe Begos. I don't know how to say his last name because he's in the next movie coming up as well. I thought this one was alright. But here we had Bliss. The Joe Begos movie. I still don't know how to say his last name, but I thought this one was decent. I still prefer some of his other movies, Christmas Bloody Christmas, for example, but I thought this one was okay. One thing that I feel like took it down for me is I was popping in the DVD, and I try not to read the backs too much because I kind of want to go in blind and just get surprised. And for some reason, like, look at all the writing that there is there on the back. For some reason, my eye just locked into one particular word, and have a guess what fucking word it was. Vampire. So I went, it's a fucking vampire movie. And for some reason, that just, like, took me out of it, going into it. Like, I don't have anything against vampire movies. I just didn't want to know anything about it, like, as much as I could. But with that being said, I still thought the movie was pretty decent. Bliss. Here we have one called Harpoon, which was a second time watch. I saw this movie back when it first came out, whatever year that was. This one's alright. It's more of a thriller. Three friends, if you want to call them that. They have the worst friendship probably fucking ever. But they take this boat out on the ocean, and shit goes south, and they all start turning on each other and, blackmailing each other and framing each other and whatever. It's a dark comedy as well. I think this one's pretty interesting. If you haven't seen Harpoon, check it out. I know a lot of people that love that movie. I wouldn't say I love it, but it's pretty decent. I picked up this one called The Mad Magician, starring Vincent Price. I really liked the first half of this movie. The second half was where it was kind of losing me. For a Vincent Price movie, he's like one of those actors for me that can like pretty much carry any sort of film. Just his acting is so fucking good, and he's just a very likable, horror icon. And for me, he can like really just make a average movie really good. Unfortunately, this was a case where, like, as I said, I liked the first half, but the second half was kind of losing me. I just thought the movie was kind of average, but yeah. Next up, Tarantula. I think this was the first one I watched after my unboxing. I pulled this one out. I'm like, yep, I gotta watch Tarantula, and I had a lot of fun with this one. Typical of the times, not just a tarantula, it's like all these animals are getting tested on and they grow rapidly, but this tarantula gets out and it's like wreaking havoc on like this small desert town. I really like the setting, and I thought this movie was really cool. I know a lot of people probably know Tarantula. It was a first time watch for myself, but I really dug it. It was cool. Next up we have a movie called in my Umbrella Entertainment unboxing video, I was calling this movie Meander, and as soon as the video was done, I was like, I think it's pronounced Meander. I could be wrong, maybe it is Meander, I have no fucking clue. It's like a French film, I think. Yeah. It was like a mix between, it was, as I said, first time watch, it was like a mix between Cube and, I don't know, pretty much Cube. It's like that, this girl that has to crawl through these pipes and survive these traps, and it was alright. It took a different approach. It went like, I won't spoil anything, it went into a direction that I wasn't guessing or wasn't suspecting, so I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad. Here's one I haven't got around to watching yet, and it is Prisoners of the Ghostland, with Nicolas Cage. From what I know, it's like an action horror yeah, I don't know. I really don't know much about it, so I'll keep this one short and sharp. I'll get around to it soon, I know. Next up, I watched the 50. What year is it? So, why did I say 50? I knew it was 70. 76 version of King Kong. Um, yeah, to be honest, I'm actually not a massive fan of the OG King Kong. Turns out I wasn't a massive fan of this one either. My favorite one is probably um, Peter Jackson's from 2005 with Naomi Watts and Jack Black and everything. I think that one's probably the most fun. Kong Skull Island wasn't bad either, actually, but yeah, I mean, it's still a classic story, and I still found enjoyment with this one. But like I said, just in general, I'm probably not the biggest fan of these earlier King Kong movies, but still decent. Another one I haven't got around to watching yet, called The Wind. Yeah, don't know much about it either, but I'll get around to that one soon as well. Next up, one I did watch, and actually not too long ago, Girl on the Third Floor. I wasn't a big fan of this one. Honestly, like, the biggest drawing point for me was that it has Phil Brooks, probably better known as CM Punk, in it. I'm a WWE fan, wrestling fan in general, and I was just like, okay, I kind of want to see his acting, and it's a horror movie as well, bonus. But I wasn't a big fan of this one. It was just kind of a bit boring, and I kind of guessed where it was going as well. I don't know, I just didn't have a great time with this one. Another one I didn't watch yet, called Satyr. Again, don't know much about it. I know I'll eventually get around to it, so hopefully soon. And then the last one, not just for the Umbrella ones, but for the movies in general, Rent-A-Pal. Now, in my unboxing video, I said that this was probably the one I was most excited to watch, and man, it lived up to those expectations. I fucking loved this movie. I thought it was so fucking cool. It was kind of what I expected, but also it was a lot more psychological and more of like a character study than what I thought. But I really like this one. It's like this guy who he's a bit of a loner, lives in his mum's basement, but he's like taking care of her. He's like a nice guy. He's not a weirdo or nothing. But he ends up finding this tape called Rent-A-Pal, and it's like this interactive guy that talks to you through the screen, but not actually. And he just starts getting mind fucked, and like, his life is pretty miserable and everything. So yeah, it was just a really interesting watch. As soon as it was done, I was like, okay, that was fucking awesome. So Rent-A-Pal, if you haven't seen this movie, get around to watching it. Alright, there we go for the horror movies. Compared to like my past few collection updates, and I guess what I'd probably do on average, that was a lot less. Which I knew it was going to be, because once I did the Umbrella order with all those movies, I was like, okay, that's gonna stock my shelf for a while, and stock my supply on movies that I need to get around to watching. And then also, I won't get into it, but I've been putting some money towards some more personal stuff and whatever, so it wasn't a big spending season either over the past 3 months. But moving on to the horror collectibles, all of them are Funko Pops, so let's get into it. Starting off with the one I picked up first. I picked up this ghost face Funko Pop. Now, I have a question about this. I'm not sure if anyone will know the answer, but normally it says the character's name down the bottom and then the movie that it's from, being Scream. But these new ones, they originally had a Ghostface Funko Pop that was like that way back when Funko Pops first became a bigger thing. But now it says Ghostface. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that like the right to use the name Scream is a bit in the air now because of the new movies, but you can use the name Ghostface. So I think it's something like that, but if anyone can clarify, just let me know. But I do really like this Funko Pop. I actually don't own the original Ghostface Funko Pop, but that's not a big loss to me, because I prefer the new molds where there's a lot more detail and it's not just the same mold with different little minor details all over it. But yeah, cool one to pick up. One I picked up maybe like 3 days ago, Count Orlok from Nosferatu. I originally was going to pass on this one, even though I really wanted it. I was just going to pick it up later down the track. There was another Funko Pop that I wanted. It was the Red-Faced Demon, or sometimes known as the Lipstick Demon from Insidious, and I was like, yep, I want that one. And then I picked it up, and the mold on its nose was like really bad, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll go with Count Orlok, which I'm not mad about. Everyone knows Nosferatu. I wasn't paying much attention, but I was like, is this, referencing the new Robert Edgers one coming out? But no, it's a 100-year anniversary of Nosferatu, so grab that. And there go the dogs. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. And then the last Funko Pop that I picked up was this Art the Clown Terrifier one. Now, I've said on my channel before, I prefer to just get one of each character, but there was so many Art the Clown Funko Pops. There was one with him wearing the sunflower glasses. There was one with him on a bike. But I've always said, I just prefer to get one of each character. Whenever I have doubles of characters, it's because someone else has got them for me for my birthday or Christmas or whatever, and I just be grateful and I take them. So I just went with the typical mold standard. There are all the other ones you can get. Him on a bike with the glasses covered in blood. I just went standard. But again, really fucking cool. I'm super excited for Terrifier 3 now. It's really shot up in anticipation for me. The closer that we've gotten to it. Alright, so travelling not too bad on time. Going pretty good. And so far only the dogs have gone a little bit loud at one point. Hopefully I won't have to take out too many sounds or whatever. I think they've been pretty quiet. But now moving on to the albums that I've picked up through winter over the past 3 months. As usual, I'll start with the new releases, so albums from this year, 2024, and then I'll move on to the couple that are from previous years. So the first album that I have here is Rebuild and Repeat from Hockey Dad. A small indie rock band from Australia, the two-piece. I have another album of theirs. I don't know what the fuck the dog's barking at. I have another album of theirs called Blend In. I'm a big fan of that album. This one's probably not as good, but catchy, vibey stuff. I didn't mind this one, so picked up a copy. Here we have Amy Shark's new album. What's it called? Sunday Sadness. I actually dug this one. Her first album, Love Monster, I have in my collection. I really dug that when it first came out, and still now I don't think it's that bad, but a lot of the writing and everything doesn't really hold up. It comes across as cringe, and this one could have the same effect in a few years, but I thought this was a step up because she had Love Monster, and then she had another album which I didn't pick up at all. I thought it was not that great, but I thought this one was a step back in the right direction. So it's acoustic, singer-songwriter stuff, a little bit of pop and electronica mixed in there. Alright, sorry guys, I had to cut it there for a second. The dogs just started going fucking ape shit at each other. One dog's mine, and then the other dog I'm watching for family, and the dogs don't get along, so when they fight, it gets fucking loud, so I had to go and sort shit out. But continuing on with albums from this year, here we have The Stories So Far, new album called I Want to Disappear. I've really enjoyed this one. Everyone probably knows The Story So Far if you're familiar with the music scenes that I like, pop punk, just really cool stuff. They're one of those bands that have consistently good albums, but at the same time, none of their albums I love. There's no album where I'm like, oh, this album's a fucking banger after banger. All of them to me are yeah, this is above average good, but none of them really blow me out of the water. Same with this one, but man, there's some bangers on here. Letterman, Big Blind, Keep You Around. Yeah, I've enjoyed listening to this one. And then last album for a new release from this year, could be a front runner for album of the year, honestly, for me so far. Here we have Clancy by 21 Pilots. Man, what a cool fucking album. It feels like a morph between their album Trench and then their album Blurry Face. More so like Trench. And Trench, again, is just fucking phenomenal, but Man, I really liked this album. I feel like it was a good step back into direction as well. You know, I didn't hate Scaled and Icy, the previous album to this one, as much as a lot of other people did. But this one was just a really good return to form. So many cool songs: Overcompensate, Next Semester, Routines in the Night, Navigating, oh my god. But yeah, a really fucking strong album. As I said, definitely a contender for favourite of the year so far. Alright, so those 4 albums are new releases from this year. Now moving on to some albums from previous years that I picked up. Both are actually only from last year, so didn't have to go back in time too far. Here I picked up the Spirit Box EP called The Fear of Fear. Not bad. I've done a review of their full-length album, Eternal Blue, before, and I've said, you know, it's music that I respect and I can listen to and, you know, not, you know, get bored or whatever, but there's nothing that really grabs me, and it's sort of the same one here. You know, shorter, it being an EP, only 6 songs, but one song I will highlight is Jaded. Jaded is fucking incredible. I love that song. Really cool. And then the last one here, which is the 5th album by the band Beartooth, called The Surface. And again, I spoke about this one last year in my favourite albums of the year video. This one was sort of towards the lower half, but still like a solid enough album. I would probably put it somewhere in the middle, you know, if I'm ranking the 5 albums. Because Disgusting is incredible, then I'd probably have Disease, then either this or Aggressive. This one I still got to listen to a little bit more. And Below would probably be my least favourite, but their 5th album, The Surface, still some really cool stuff on here. My favourite song is probably Riptide. But yeah, cool one. Alright, and that is it for my winter collection update for 2024. Like I said, I know it's not the biggest one, and it doesn't help that half of it was shown in a video literally just before this one, but like I said, once I did that unboxing and got all that stuff from Umbrella, I'm like, okay, I'm set for a while. I don't need to be splurging money on, you know, finding other things to watch and whatever. And then, as I said, just personally, I'm putting money towards some other stuff at the moment, which I'm sure we can all understand. You know, we got to fucking live as well. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this collection update, guys. If there's any movies or music or whatever that you want to talk about, hit me up in the comments below, guys. But these videos normally go for a while, so I'll leave you there, guys. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you for another video soon. Peace.